Another massive domino falls in the coaching world as Michigan becomes the third college football playoff team to lose its head coach. Jim Harbaugh is back to the NFL after winning the Wolverines' first national championship since 1997. He has accepted the head job at the LA Chargers and now leaves a vacancy at his alma mater. So for more on this, let's welcome in National College Football writer Brandon Marcello. Brandon, Harbaugh is a Michigan man through and through, and they actually offered him a contract that would have made him the highest paid coach in college football and also given him immunity from termination for, those two ongoing NCAA investigations. That's a lot to turn down. Why was it not enough for Harbaugh to stick with Michigan?
Well, I think there's several factors here. The way the game has just changed with recruiting, NIL, that entire situation. I don't think you talk to a single head coach in college football that goes, everything's going swimmingly well. I'm loving my quality of life. Number two, he came to Michigan and accomplished what he wanted to accomplish, which was win a national championship. And listen, this is a guy that was almost fired after the 2020 season and had to renegotiate his contract and take a pay cut just to remain there. So he's led that program to the promised land like he promised when he was first hired. And listen, Jim Harbaugh also is an NFL guy. He wants to win a Super Bowl. That's the one thing he really has left to accomplish, and he better strike while the time is hot, and now is the time to do that. And then, of course, there are the looming NCAA investigations going on right now. Will there be penalties coming from that? The feeling is that there will be penalties. And as we saw this past year with him having to sit out for 3-4 games as a head coach, does he want to have to deal with that again for the next year, 2, or even 3, and potentially postseason sanctions? Again, a lot of speculation out there. Those things have not been settled. And so right now, why not go out on top and then go to the NFL and try to win a Super Bowl?
You mentioned the multiple investigations, but you also have a national championship. So in terms of setting this program up for success moving forward, what kind of shape is Harbaugh leaving things in Ann Arbor?
I think it's pretty great. I think a lot of people just assume they're losing a lot, but they're losing some big names at the big positions. J.J. McCarthy, Blake Corum. But listen, Donovan Edwards at running back exploded in the national championship game. He only touched the ball 6 times, but had over 100 yards and some big plays to seal that victory. They've got a defensive tackle tandem in Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant that are maybe the best in college football going into next season. They got a great secondary. And of course, the thing is they got to keep this roster together. But what they have right now on paper is pretty darn good and a top 10 type team going into next season.
They also have a really good head coaching candidate on staff right now in Sharon Moore, who went 4-0 as an interim head coach, filling in for Jim Harbaugh during those multiple suspensions this season. So it sounds like it might be a matter of if or not of when, not if, that he will become the head coach. What's the latest you can tell us on Sharon Moore's chances of landing this job?
Yeah, the industry is just buzzing. It's just a matter of when they announce this hire. There were reports out there that Michigan, as a university, is required to post the job for 7 days before they make a hire. Well, there is a waiver that they can apply to within their own human resources department at the University of Michigan to get that done. So this is something that'll probably be done by the weekend, from what I understand. And Sharon Moore is in line to become the next head coach there. Barring something unforeseen, I would be surprised if Sharon Moore is not the next head coach of the University of Michigan, and that would be huge for them in keeping that roster intact. As we mentioned, that is crucial. A lot of great pieces coming back as it stands now, but the transfer portal window just opened for Michigan. You lose your head coach, you have 30 days as a player on that roster to enter the portal and leave and go elsewhere. What's really working in Michigan's favor here is actually the timing. If this happened a week ago, like a lot of us maybe were thinking, you may be seeing some Michigan players already in the portal and maybe in droves. But right now, because of the academic calendar, it's difficult to go enroll somewhere and add a class at a different university. Ohio State, for example, their add drop deadline was January 19th. Now, there are some schools elsewhere where that deadline is extended. So, for example, as we're seeing today in the last couple of days, Ole Miss keeps adding players. We're like, how's this happening? The semester already started. Well, their add drop deadline's not until February 7th. So they're adding players as they keep going along here. Michigan, their add drop deadline is January 25th, from what I understand. So these next 6 to 7 days, very crucial as far as the roster management here. But if the feeling is that Sharon Moore is going to be the guy, then he could probably hold that entire roster together. And if they do lose a player or two, it won't really hurt them all that bad.
The good thing about this situation, too, is as much as you want to compare it to when Nick Saban retired and it was open season on that roster, that was a surprise. Harbaugh has been flirting with the NFL for a very long time, actually took an interview with an NFL team on signing day back in 2022. So this should not have surprised anybody within the Michigan program, and I don't think that it did. But looking at Harbaugh as a whole, I mean, he took Michigan to the mountaintop of college football. So in your eyes, Brandon, what will be his legacy at Michigan?
Well, it'll be right up there with the greats there. He will be revered. Even if there is fallout from these NCAA investigations, he will be a legend there. He's the epitome of a Michigan man. He was that amazing gunslinging quarterback in the 80s and, of course, had a great NFL career. Came back to his alma mater, led them to a national championship. They were 40-3 these last 3 seasons. He was an energetic coach, someone who's fiery on the sidelines, had a heck of a personality. I know just as a reporter, I'm going to miss having him in college football because of just his crazy antics and the way he approached life. But in the end, he's going to be a legend there, and I wouldn't be surprised that someday he's got a statue or something else there on the Michigan campus. He went out on top. I mean, I look at this in like TV terms. It's like the ending of Seinfeld. Why let that thing keep going? Go out while you're on top. And while the ending may have been a little controversial, in the end, we all enjoyed it, and he did what he came out to accomplish to do, and that's win a national championship and leave those Michigan fans happy.
Based on the quotes I hear from John Harbaugh, I would not be surprised if he was also a Seinfeld fan. I love that comparison. Brandon, that's it for this segment. You're actually going to be back later on the show for a really fun conversation. A lot of people in the chat right now are psyched for this. He's going to give us some updates on the status of EA Sports' college football video game, so stick around for that. Speaking of the chat, you're also going to hang around and answer some questions that people have, so go ahead, get to typing. Brandon Marcello, thank you so much.